Hi everyone, good afternoon. I believe it's Thursday at 1 o'clock, and I'm going to be speaking to Karen Petersen, who I met many, many years ago. I've invited her to join me. We'll wait for Facebook to take their time in bringing her on. But in the meantime, I thought I'd just share with you. I met Karen many, 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 many years ago before she became an author and before I became an author as well. We're going to be talking about her book. So I met Karen when I don't even think there were Facebook Lives, and I met her in a coffee shop and she introduced me to something called Periscope. I don't know if any of you will remember Periscope, because I said I wanted to talk to people. I wanted to be live or have a podcast. I don't even think podcasts were popular at that time. And she said, "You are live now." And she had the little phone and she said, "There you are, you're speaking to people." So I remember her from that day. She's a fabulous friend, a treasured friend, and a wonderful soul. And Facebook is going to bring her on for us. She's just the most woman I know. Um, and there you are. Hi.
Hi, Jen. How are
Can
you?
you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly, yes.
Perfectly. So at the moment, I'm charging my phone as we speak so I don't disappear.
Okay.
But that's just me. But I was just telling everybody that I met you many, many years ago, before you were an author, before I was an author. And how you taught me. I said I wanted to speak to people. I wanted to, engage and communicate. And you showed me how to use Periscope, which was the tool of the day in those
I
times. And you
remember.
just held up your little phone and said, "Well, yeah, you're on
We would,
camera. Speak to these people in the coffee shop."
that's right. I remember it clearly. I've just got a disclosure. I've got a very naughty little puppy that might jump in and make a noise.
That's not a problem. I have a little girl. She's just come home from her walk. I heard her crying. If you hear her, I'm not putting earphones. I just like her to be authentic, because that's the topic today, how to be your authentic self. So if there's a noise, there's a noise. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I was thinking, why don't we just dive straight in, and you tell everybody who you are, what are you about, and why this topic?
So I'm Karen Petersen, for those who don't know. A mother, a wife, an author, a social media marketer, content creator, and a person, a woman. I wrote during lockdown. Well, it was before lockdown, but during lockdown, I published my memoir, which was called Coming Out, Coming Home. And the whole idea behind it is it was my story of meeting my wife today. I was married to a man, a pastor for 24 years, and fell in love with Tracy very unexpectedly. And so the book is much more than that, but the premise of the book is really my meeting her and finding out who I really was. And for me, that discovery of myself was what I call coming home. And to me, coming home is that place of authenticity, of being able to finally be who I am, accept who I am, and live who I am. And of course, it's a journey. I can't say that I am completely authentic all of the time. I wish I was. Hello, Tracy. I see you're on. But yeah, this evolving and continual journey of trying to be true to myself at all times. What I like to say is, whether I'm in the presence of paupers or princes, I'm the same person. And that's really my goal in life. And for me, the journey has been, and each step along the way has been, an absolute joy of self-discovery and of freedom, of being comfortable, of being content, which is a very underrated thing. So that's it in a nutshell.
I love what you said there, because I know you to be extremely authentic. You are always wonderful, always encouraging, always inspirational, always caring. And what I really like about you as well is that if you want to say something, you will. Now, having read the book, I was very privileged to do that. I mean, the coming home to you was the most beautiful part in the book. And being authentically who you are. Not that you weren't, but this, like taking off a mask suddenly. I hate to use that word mask, but let's say a filter, and realizing this is me, this is what I want. This came my way. I wasn't really searching for it. You know, you were a pastor's wife, so that gives the whole book intrigue. You worked with underprivileged women. You worked with women who had been damaged mentally, socially, emotionally, psychologically, and many other things. And then, you know, into this marriage with Tracy that we both, I love both of you. You're both super, super people. And then, you know, writing the book and putting it out there. And I wanted to know from you, how did that feel, putting it out there? Because you hadn't done that before. So people knew, but then you sort of went public with it.
Yeah, I think the actual writing of the book was a very therapeutic process for me. In the book, I go right back into my childhood, and there's things that happened in my childhood that, you know, I thought I had dealt with, but in writing the book, I had to sort of relive. And what I struggled with was a fuzzy memory. So I'd have to try and go back, remember exactly what took place, how it took place, how I felt at the time. And that was quite a difficult process because so much was fuzzy. So the whole process of it was actually quite therapeutic. But having said that, if I had to rewrite the book now, I think it would actually be a lot deeper. I think it would be even more authentic. I think I held back during the writing. Putting it out there was another story altogether. So, like you said, many people knew my story, but of course, you know, my family were going to read the book and read all the dirt and all the dark places. People from the, you know, being a pastor's wife, all the and we were part of a huge church group, so all those hundreds and possibly thousands of people, now suddenly the book is open for them to read as well. So it was frightening and it was scary. Hello, Janie from Australia. How lovely to have you here. Yeah, it was a frightening thought. And you're an author, so you know what it feels like. You never think your writing is good enough. Well, I don't, but I think most writers are like me. We always putting your own writing out there is always an extremely vulnerable experience. But now I was doing a double whammy. I was putting my writing out there, but also my life story. So it was very, very frightening. And I think I just put on my big girl panties and I just did it anyway. And I've had one or two really nasty results from it. I've had one absolutely scathing, horrible review. It's on Amazon if you really want to read it. And I've had a few people who have not been very happy with it. But overwhelmingly, I've had more support and encouragement, even from people I didn't expect, and some people from our past who made contact with me again. And not that we're the best of buddies, but we brought closure to our relationships, and we both reached a place of, or a few of us reached a place of acceptance with where each other is, which was a wonderful result of putting the book out there.
Well, we will put the link to the book and where they can get it. And if they're in South Africa, maybe they can get it directly from you. I know that you happen to be one of the authors that it is available in South Africa in one of the shops or a few of the shops. But I'm curious. So having that background story, and also in the introduction, you said you have a awesome social media business. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be speaking to you. I wouldn't know how to. So I wanted to know, how did that evolve to what you're about to do or are doing now, where you're actually coaching people on how to, remove the filters and become them authentic selves?
Yeah, because it almost seems a juxtaposition, because social media is, it's all about, they say it's authentic. It's all about marketing oneself or one's products and services. And in the past, it's been very silly, for want of a better word. Social media is evolving into a more authentic place as well, but even that is quite contrived. It's very planned and strategized, and you know, it doesn't just flow generally in most of the time. So it almost feels like in opposition to what I'm trying to do in the coaching. So the coaching is all revolved around coming home, basically. And what I've done is I've created HOME, and H is for hope. So if we don't have a goal or a hope or a dream or something we're working towards, how can we? And we explore that. Once we come up with where we want to be, the next is O, for onwards. How are we going to get from where we are now to where it is that we want to be, whether it's a physical move or it's just something inside, you know, working on our inner selves, whatever it may be. It's the practicalities of, like, simple steps of 1, 2, 3, how to get there. Then M is mindfulness, because what I found, and I was, so before, my life was so performance oriented, whereas now I'm trying so hard to just live in the moment as much as I possibly can. So it sounds cliched to say the journey is as important as the destination, but it truly is. You know, we've just had a lovely road trip for my 60th, where we went down to the Cape.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And it really was, our drive there, we make it fun. We stop at places, we do things, so we make it as fun as actually arriving at the place. And that's what, when we're moving onwards from where we are now to where we want to be in our lives, we must enjoy that process and be mindful. Maybe it's not always enjoying, but it is living in the moment and being mindful of the process and what it takes to get us there. And each step has absolute meaning and lessons for us to learn and joys to experience. So that's the mindfulness part, which is probably, to me, the most exciting and the most important part of it. And then finally, E is for essence. And that's the place where we come home. You know, what is our essence? And I've been quite influenced by a woman called Lacey Phillips, who does, I'm busy doing one of a program through her. It can be ongoing, but you sign up for a year. It's called To Be Magnetic. And through that, I've learned a lot about creating where I want to be. And so what I do with Essence is we create what I call an Essence thumbprint. Basically, in practical terms, it's what are your values? And then everything you do revolves around, does it fit into my values? And that Essence, hello, Tina. That Essence thumbprint is basically, it's the values, and everything I decide now, does it fit into my values? And we come up with a set of 4 basic ones, but obviously you'll have a whole lot more. But before I make any decision, I see, will it fit into these 4 values of mine? And if it does fit into those 4 values, then I can, it's just so much easier to make a decision. And that's really what my coaching is revolves around. So I've done a little bit of one-on-one coaching, but I've done quite a few groups where we go through a 4-week session. Each week is one of those things: hope, onwards, mindful. In fact, I call it mindful manifesting, and then essence. And those have been fun because it's a group experience and it's quite interactive. We do it over Zoom. And yeah, those have worked really, really well. Jenny, can we have a quick break? I've just seen that I've got a delivery that's arrived.
No problem. I'll just keep speaking till you come back.
To be as authentic as possible. I'll be 2 minutes.
Well, I'm not going to press any buttons. I'm just going to carry on. Please
okay,
don't do
great.
the delivery. It's fine.
Thank you.
Problem. Okay. So while Karen's gone to, that's what I love about interviewing people and just being authentic. You've got to go and do a delivery, what you've got to do, the delivery, the dog barks, the dog barks. But what I wanted to say is I've had quite a few meetings with Karen in a coffee shop, and it's been really a year. Well, it's been since 2020 that we published. And she's really taken her book title and the word home, and then mindfully manifested this course that she's putting out there, which is which I urge you to contact her and do, especially in a group or one-to-one. She's brilliant to work with, and I like her. There's no BS in what she teaches. There's no airy-fairy. It's let's do this. You can do this, and let's get on with it. But bringing in the spirituality, the emotions, the social part, the psychology, understanding all that, and then having done it herself. So actually, I'm going to be asking Karen when she comes back to tell you what else she's done in these past 2 years, sort of changing direction or finding the path, if we could call it that, of her essence, and how that's going to play out in the future and what she's going to offer. So that will be quite interesting to hear. But as you can hear, this book, there you're back. So Karen, I was just telling our listeners that we've had quite a few coffees together, and I think we speak the same language. And I've been watching you since you published the book. I've also been watching what's happening in your life. And I was just saying that anybody who wants a coaching session with you or to join one of your groups should, because for me, you're the no BS lady, and you bring, all the parts of the coaching wheel, psychology, spirituality, emotional, social, relational, into what you do. And so I think that's really enjoyable. But I want you to go a step further, because I do know you're a little bit more than some of our listeners maybe. I want you to tell us what you've been doing since 2020, because for me, it's like you took this thumbprint that you said, the essence thumbprint, and you laid it out, and then took a magic wand and went, pew, and now it's sort of all unfolding. And I thought you could tell us a little bit about that. Where are you going? What are you going to do? How did that come about?
Sure. So at the end of 2020, in December, I got the Delta variant of COVID. And I wasn't hospitalized, but I've never felt so sick in my life. And there were days, and I was being dramatic because I wasn't near death, but there were days where I thought, I could die. And it just made me reassess my life. And I thought, is this typical suburban lifestyle in Johannesburg exactly what I want? And deep down, I knew it wasn't. And obviously in discussion with Tracy and that, we had a long time dream of moving down to the West Coast. But both of us had sort of late financial starts in life due to all our experiences. And we just didn't have the capital to buy land down there and start again, or buy a home down there. But we knew we wanted to be out of Joburg, and we wanted to be in a more natural setting, and be able to be more flexible with our work instead of that, rigid 9 to 5. So I chatted to my business partners, and we came up with like a very slow exit strategy where I keep on with the marketing business, but also have the freedom to start building up my coaching business on the side. Excuse me. And so we've been doing that. And Tracy and I decided, okay, we're going to look at tiny homes because maybe this is the most affordable thing. And we started exploring, and we went and saw some, and they were very, very tiny. We realized they weren't that practical. So then we started to look at modular homes. They either light steel frame or timber framed, or just they print as much off the grid as one can go, depending on your finances, and just light on the planet and a simple lifestyle. So we found this Facebook page, which was called Tiny Homes, The Journey. And we met this lady on there called Debbie. And she lived in, well, she was building a lot of, or project managing a lot of small homes, let's say, in Rosendal, which is a town in the Eastern Free State. It's about an hour away from Clarence. And it's probably Clarence of 30, 40 years ago. There's literally about 150 people who live in the town.
Just 150.
Yeah. Arty people, eccentric people, absolutely fun. So we went to have a look. We didn't know anything about Rosendal. I'd never heard of it before. And we went to have a look, and the homes were great. And Debbie said to us, so, you know, where are you wanting to build them? Oh, yes, we want to build on the West Coast. She said, no, come, let me show you around the town here. And by the end of that weekend, and it's that typical Clarence type of look, that sandstone mountains, big open spaces, absolutely beautiful. And an incredible sense of community in the town. Everybody cares for each other. Obviously, you've got the small town thing where everybody knows everything about each other too, but there's a lot of care and interesting people, quite a progressive town. We have to brush up on our Afrikaans because it's very Afrikaans, but like I said, very progressive. And by the end of the weekend, I'd fallen in love. And it wasn't just that this was a nice town. It was like something had spoken to me. I just knew deep down inside me, this is the place. And the land was dirt cheap. We bought a big plot of land. It's just under 3,000 square meters for 100,000 rand. And we bought it. So after the weekend, I think basically within a month we had the land. So now we've just had plans drawn up. We're having a small home of 60 square meters and a little Airbnb on the side. And yeah, we're hoping to be there by the end of the year or early next year. And then
you've really been on fast forward speed dial. It's happened really quickly. And this would be about 3 hours from Johannesburg for those.
It's about 3.5 hours, yeah. It is a risk because I can still work remotely, but Tracy can't. So we've got to find something for her to do. And we're exploring all sorts of ideas.
Sorry for interrupting, but while we're on that, perhaps we'll just put it out there that Tracy's going to be doing some VA work online, and she's very welcome to put a little blurb in the comments as well.
Thank you. That'll be great. Yeah, she's
occasionally.
She's an efficiency ninja, so no one will regret using her.
Absolutely.
And this whole process is all part of us discovering our real desires, our authentic desires, and what we want in life, and what we want out of life, and what we want with each other.
Now, I was also interested. I think we had coffee one day, and I had a question. Are you ever going to run a writers' retreat in Rosendal? Because like I said on that day, if you are, I'd love to be there. I know where Rosendal is, and now I can just imagine how fabulous it would be with these kind of people, these very arty, creative people, and the warmness and out in nature, and the best place to write a book ever. They can do it very quickly. So I'm hoping you're going to be offering something like that.
We're very, very definitely looking at that. It is the perfect place for something like that. There is ample accommodation, and we can work out deals with all the restaurants. There's some really nice restaurants in town, really interesting people. There's a few authors in town, so we could really put a good writers' retreat together, and it is on our bucket list. So yes, Jenny.
Yeah. Well, you know, in this group we have on Tuesdays, it's called Conversation Tuesday. So it will be lovely for you as well. As you're going along, please share your journey with us.
Thank you. I will
so that
do
we
so.
know what's going on. And I would definitely join a writer's retreat as long as they have red wine.
There's lots of red wine.
So this, let's go back to this essence thumbprint. Does that come from our values, from our authentic?
Yes.
The part of us that observes the persona, if we put it like that.
So basically, there's a list of questions you go through. And at the end of the list, I can't remember, there's about I think there's about 12 questions or so. And at the end of the list, you go through and you see that there's a few answers that keep coming up with a similar theme or trait. And then you pick out the 4 most common themes, and those you turn it into a value, and then that becomes part of your essence thumbprint. So it's something that you all know anyway, but it just helps you to put it into a little something. And then I've got it on my when I open my computer, it's on my, what do you call that thing? Your screensaver.
So you see it, yeah.
So I see it every single day, yeah.
So do you think that your values have changed over time?
Yes, and even this value system or essence thumbprint, I think you'd have to do it every 2 or 3 years, and you might find there's a few little changes. So not huge changes.
Evolve.
Yeah, not huge changes, but there are definitely some small changes, yeah.
So mostly, I suppose there'd be 1 or 2, or maybe not, but where it's a fundamental life operating principle. It's something that without that you don't operate.
Yeah, so like one of mine.
Forget who you are and are in a not in.
So one of mine is trust and respect. That I instill trust, but I trust others, and always treat people with dignity and respect. And if I have a decision to make, if it's going to violate trust or treating somebody else with respect, then I won't do it. That's just an example for you.
Beautiful.
And that's probably one that will never change.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's who you are. So tell us something else about Karen that we don't know.
That you don't know. Well, when I was a teenager growing up in Umhlanga Rocks, I won a skateboarding competition.
You won a what?
Skateboarding competition.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't do it today, but I did then.
But I do see that you're very into keeping fit at the moment, and you're a bit of a foodie, and look after your health.
I'm a great foodie, and I love red wine as well, Jen. I'm terrible at fitness. I take the dogs for a walk every evening, but that's about it. I keep saying I've got to get fit again, but I'm lazy, to be honest. I love reading, absolutely love reading. I love biographies or autobiographies, and I love stories about human drama. I love series on Netflix type series.
And now when you published your book, you wrote another book as well.
I wrote a book.
Which is also on Amazon.
Yes, which I actually give out as a freebie on my website. And I've just gone a blank on what it's called. But it's basically about overcoming obstacles in your life.
Something like that. I know.
Yeah. It's never too late. It's called It's Never Too Late.
It's Never Too Late. I wrote the forward, I think.
You did, Jen.
It's a fabulous book, and it just tells you that it's never too late. You can get on with it. You can do it. You can buy a plot of land. You can move from the big city. You can write books. You can coach. You can adapt, be adept at the journey of life and the experiences you have, and make it all value-based. And
it's just got short little questionnaires at the end of each chapter, and they are really exceptionally simple and practical. And I would say it's the start of the coaching, but the coaching goes much, much deeper and into a lot more maybe esoteric sort of stuff, very much into mindfulness and manifesting, which I'm still learning, but loving the process.
Well, if you can dream it, you can bring it into being. I did. I'm talking to you. If you can dream, you want to interview somebody, just got to ask, and you receive.
Yeah, well,
I wanted to say, I loved what you said right in the beginning, so I want to go back there, where you said we all, sometimes we think what we've written is just a load of garbage. I know I do. So we're our own harshest critic. But also the fact that you said, if I wrote it today, I'd write it differently and I'd be more authentic. I know for myself, I'd be far more authentic, far more bold. It would be double the size. So my next question would be, is there another book in the pipeline?
So I want to say yes, but for some reason I do keep putting it off. You know, I started in November last year with this To Be Magnetic course, and I've signed up for a year, and I really want to focus on that this year. And it's hard. You've got to do it at least 3 times a week, and it's really working inside of yourself, and it hasn't been easy. The first module was how to manifest, which I loved, and was having all sorts of little manifestations happening, and I loved it. Then the second one is called Unblocking Inner Child, which I just struggled through. I struggled with my memory. I struggled with unblocking anything. I didn't enjoy it. I would do it, and I'd do it as fast as I could, and I really struggled through it. I'm going to have to redo it. And I'm now busy on unblocking shadow, which is even worse.
Well, I think they're equally as scary depending on the personality that you have. So I think unblocking shadow is so important, because I honestly believe if we think we only this, well, that's a fairy tale. We are both.
Yeah.
There's no up without down. You know, it's the paradox.
Yeah, and I think it's also
oxymorons of life, or the paradox, or there's equal. You can't take I forgot the name of the thing, but it's like quantum physics. You can't split the atom.
Yeah.
You can split the atom, but you have 2 halves of the same atom. Now, when we try and split, I always tell my clients in coaching, you cannot split who you are. You can be living in more of the one side of your attitudes, behaviors, or persona, or ego, whatever you want to call it. I don't like to go that deep right now, but the other side is waiting. So I might come across as this joyful, wonderful woman who loves to speak, communicate, collaborate, put my message out. What about the other one? What about the one who wakes up and has a bad hair day, or whatever it is? Or doesn't feel like speaking, or feels like isolating, or shutting down, or working with my own inner critic, huge inner critic I have. I always said I have about 13 voices in my head at any given time. Will this work? Will I be there at 1 o'clock? Will she show up? How will I look? Is there enough light? I mean, that's all inner critic work. And that's, again, shadow work. It's like I want to present myself in a way that people can understand me and see me. And yet the underlying thing is, which is a lie, I'm afraid of technology. I think I can't use that one anymore.
No,
I still am, but I'm definitely not afraid of technology anymore. So we play with that. And I think when you do, and it's also what I say in my coaching with people with relationships, and not knocking anybody, but to come for an hour session and see me. It's just a lovely time we're going to have together.
Yeah.
But when there's 8 sessions, or 3 months, or a year, when you're working with somebody and they get to know you, you get to know yourself, that's really evolving. For me, that's the authentic self, the willingness to take off the mask and explore.
Yeah.
So with that heavy statement, I think we've got about 5 minutes. What would you like to tell them? What would you like to tell whoever's listening?
I think, and it's not punting mine or Jenny's coaching. I don't really care who you go to, even if it's a program like I'm busy doing at the moment. I also do coaching from time to time, but I think that every one of us needs somebody that we can grow with. Maybe that's the best way to put it. And those who love us lose the objectivity of what we are going through. And we need somebody who's outside, completely objective, who can just question us and provoke us and make us think, to help us to really reach that place of authenticity in our lives. And as difficult as it is, it's also such a freeing thing. So I I am really reaching a place where I'm not too worried about what, except in writing, but about what others think about me. To a degree, there's always that people pleasing, so I can't take that away. But I just find things like, obviously I want to look attractive and what have you, but I'm not obsessed with like what I'm wearing or how I look, like as much as I used to be. You know, there's definitely, I've seen huge growth in that. Even other areas of growth just through coaching and what have you has been, you can tell I'm getting older because it's just slipped out of my brain.
Do you still have a beautiful scooter?
I sold my scooter. This is part of the getting the money for all the stuff we need in Roosendaal.
It was a color. I remember it was a
blue
color.
It was blue.
It was a blue scooter.
The roads in Roosendaal are all sand roads. There's only one tar road, so it would be pointless to keep it there. So I sold it.
So we'd have to come in a tractor or a Jeep.
We go in our little Ford Freestyle, so it's okay. But the potholes are quite, not so much in Roosendaal, but the last 40 k's between Senekal and Roosendaal, the potholes are really quite an experience. But just to go back to what you were saying, so my encouragement would be, whether it's a group or whether it's a coach or whether it's a program, do something to get to that place called home, that place where you love yourself and you accept yourself and you can just be free to be who you are. It's so freeing, and it's such a wonderful place, and it is an evolution. It's not a one-time or even a 3-month process. It's forever. But I would encourage everyone to do that.
And I thank you for that, because I think it's so important for us to have a place that feels like home. So what I wanted to say was, firstly, thank you. And secondly, I felt like this is home today.
Thank you, Jenny.
I felt like this was authentic. It was home. It was like I was sitting on your couch having this wonderful conversation with you. And I'm sure whoever's listening, I actually took the comments off, because I noticed one day I was interviewing somebody and the comments were running across their face and I didn't know how to get them to go away. So I know that you're going to be taking this talk out of the group, and hopefully we'll be able to put it into some other places where people can have the benefit. But I'd love you to put all the places where they can find you, the link to your books, and anything else you want to share about yourself. And maybe in a few months' time, come back and tell us again what's happening and how far it's going.
That would be lovely. And thank you to you, Jen. You're a great host, good interviewer.
Thank you.
You ask great questions. And I do. I feel very relaxed with you. It is home. So.
And did you notice, because I noticed on your post about the naughty little dog, he's been very quiet.
Yeah, he has. He's fallen asleep here next to me.
Okay,
Nuggets the terrorist.
Finish. And please tell Trace to put her little blurb in the comments as well. So many people that need someone online. I was thinking about it earlier because something came up on my screen, and I know it's just because I've just upgraded the phone or something. Like I didn't understand. I was thinking, who could I ask? So we'll keep her in mind. And have a fabulous day and a fabulous weekend coming up. And don't forget Conversation Tuesdays. We'd love to see Roosendaal, and tell us what you're about. Ciao.
Great. Is it in this group, Jen? The Conversation Tuesday?
Every Tuesday I open the group, and there's a picture with a woman with binoculars. It's all pink, and it tells you what to do. You can go live in the group, or you can post every Tuesday and tell us what's going on in your life. I will tag you next Tuesday and just say hello so that you get used to it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks a million.
Ciao, my friend.
Love you lots.
Bye.
Cheers.